Hello dear friends, Fisher here. Today we continue with our beautiful stories, The Power of the Spirit by ALFRED HOSP, also known as Freddy in the book. So today Bruno tell a very funny story about the death angel. And then also and then he make a remark about the spiritual life. And Bruno said, "A man who was well known to me once visited me, and before I could warn him, let himself drop onto the empty place next to me with a sign of relief. You would not believe, dear friends, how quickly he stood up again onto his own 2 feet. Shocked, and he cried, 'What's happened to this chair?' When I sat on it, just for a short time, I felt an icy coldness that I have never felt in my life before. Has some kind of extra powerful cooling device been built into it somewhere?" I calmed him down. No, I haven't got anything like that. You have only not noticed that this place is already occupied, for here sits my friend, Death. But don't be so terrified, and don't grow so deadly pale, for death belongs to life just as much as birth. They are just 2 transitions, which would not and could not exist without each other. In the spiritual realm, birth is just as much a departure as death is in the earthly realm. That is why my friend, whom you cannot see, is always here when it is a matter of making the decision for people that will be the best for their spiritual development. For all earthly life, death is the direct representative of God. My friend and I always work together. And when God sent him to take someone away, and then I cannot and may not stand in the way, for in every situation I am obedient to God. Human beings should not be anxious about passing over, for it is the most natural and beautiful thing if we do not struggle against it and are not weighed down by any guilt. No one knows when his time is drawing near, and so everyone should always live, plan, behave as if today were their last day. Only then will it be possible for them to depart in peace and without regret. Every human being should therefore come to terms, in good time, with the thought that, in any case, their earthly life is limited, and even though almost no one is able to envisage this, but knowledge of the temporal limitedness of one's own body is nevertheless a necessary part of self-knowledge and of realizing the truth, without which there can be no spiritual progress. Whoever is conscious of this in their heart will take care not to judge, plan, or act merely in accordance with crystal clear hard logic, but will rather, in relation to their going home, which will happen sooner or later, begin to ask about the spiritual significance of their lives. But from this perspective, many things which they had previously striven for and advocated so passionately become completely unimportant, and even no longer worth striving for. The meaninglessness of striving only after earthly goods or even fame suddenly stands there, as clear as daylight, in the room of a human being who has become a believer. And this deep inner conversion brings along with it a peaceful, balanced future without anxiety, worry, or despair. Hello dear friend, it's a very powerful long paragraph of a little funny story, and also Bruno's remark of birth and death and our spiritual life. So basically there's a friend sat on the chair, and then of course, and then he couldn't see the death angel was just sitting next to Bruno. Lots of people call it death angel, or you just call it's just a being. And then his job is just taking people away, helping people transition from the physical body to the non-physical body, from the physical realm to the spiritual realm. So that's the job of the death. And the same thing, and as Bruno said, death and always come with birth too. And then death and birth together belongs to life. And birth was just we transition from the spiritual world to this world, the physical world. So, and when there's a death angel, there's a birth angel too. And often, death is the one we always fear for. Everybody worry about, oh, I might die tomorrow, so I do whatever I want today. That is just purely driven by ignorance and self-inflated ego. So I would say ignorance will prevail even more. So when we come to realization that our life on earth is only part of our life in this long spiritual eternal journey. So we are some people call it soul or spirit or a divine spark. We are just a part of God, a droplets of the ocean. So every human being is. So the droplets will have to return to the ocean eventually. Like what's happened is, I can use an analogy to explain this for you. It's like we are the droplets we come from the ocean. So with the rain, and then the rain will be the birth, and then the droplets come to earth, and then we live like the droplets, the water droplets live alive on earth, on the soil, and then took on its physical form and become a mud, and then after that, and then the droplets become and at the end we're going back to the ocean, because it will go into lots of droplets will form the creek, and the creek go back to the ocean and then become a cycle. So this is the same cycle of the human life. So birth, death, so it's a cycle, and the rebirth, and of course re-death, or probably don't say re-death. So there's always a cycle, it's a circling motion. It never going from one end to the other without coming back to it. And then I know these days we're in a secular world, and then we do not believe anything beyond the physical reality. And then we are so limited by our perceptions, because we always say, oh, seeing is believing. Okay, nothing we see, and then we don't believe things we can't see. So that is, we are just basically limited by our limited five senses, by our limited perception of life. And then as we know gravity, that's why gravity was discovered so late, because we couldn't see it, we couldn't feel it. And then only the Isaac Newton discovered that by observing apples falling off the tree. So dear friends, be opened. Always leave a little gap opened of your door to the greater reality. It will be too ignorant and arrogant to say, oh, okay, this earthly life is my only life I live, and I purely driven just by the material things. I just here to make a survival. I suppose all the animals hold that kind of mentality too. Or they don't even know they do. They just do. They are driven by survival only. As human beings, aren't we always self-proclaim that we are the intelligence creatures, we are the intelligence races? So, please, we need to search the answer beyond the animal kingdom. So we need to search the answer beyond this physical reality, which is our eternal life, the spiritual life. And then we came to the earth because there's lessons to learn, there's tasks and missions to complete. That's why we're here for. And then, of course, and some people would say we have the karmic tie to the material life, to the physical life. That's why we are here. If we are karma-free, we wouldn't be here. If we have learned all the lessons, and then we learn to love our fellow human beings as ourselves, we probably don't need to be here anymore, because the karmic compulsion or the reincarnation compulsion has been cut off. And as what Bruno said, the death angel always here, and he is the direct representative of God, because nobody beats death. Do you know anybody can beat death? I don't. People can beat the illness, people can be healthy, but nobody can beat death. Like nobody can beat birth. They all come the same time. They all come the same thing. So you got the birth and death, and then you got the life. Life always have the dualities. Always dualities. Like the DNAs. Okay, life is not just randomly happens from one end directly to the other. It's always spirally, two things entangled together with a lot more complexity. And then when we realize that, and then death is just a transition, it's nothing to fear about. And then we can live with a peaceful mind. Oh, that's okay, nothing ends, it's just something temporarily ends. I'm just going to another world. And then later I might come back to Earth, or might go to somewhere else. So if you have achieved this realization, dear friends, and you will not be scared anymore about, like being passing at some stage. And as what Bruno say, always live your life as if it is the last day of you. So you live with love, calm, be nice to the people around you, and then you pass without any regret. Oh, okay, I should say I love you to my parents yesterday, but now I'm dead. I don't have a chance to say anymore. And then you will not have the regret of whatever you think you haven't done well in the past. So make things right today, dear friends. If you want to do things today, do it today. You never know when you're going to pass on to the other world. You're going to do things to serve the good for yourself and other people. So, as what Bruno said, most of the time we're striving for the earthly, material things which has no meaning, literally little to no meaning to us. People driven by all the stars, the pop stars or sports stars, even this and that stars, all this fame will pass. After 500 years, who remember you? Nobody does. You probably not even will appear in the history book. So what are you striving for? All this fame is for what? It's for nothing. Just for you to be satisfied of your so-called achievements. Your ego will be happier temporarily, and then later on, and then you look for something else. And then who can take money with them to their tomb? Yes, you have the kings and queens, and you have the emperors, and they always bury lots of golds and jewelries, whatever the treasures, with them. Okay, so we have the historical Chinese first emperor with all the terracotta armies with him to fight underground. But once you pass, okay, once you leave your body, after you leave your body, and then you go into a spirit or very light stage of body, the light stage of existence. What do you need all these material things for? Because the world you'll be living is not material. You cannot touch any more material things, and then you cannot possess it. So whatever the money, whatever the gold and jewelry, treasures you have, fine arts these days will come and serve you nothing once you pass. Dear friends, and I often say to my parents, and then I said, look after your body, because you can take your health with you to the other world, which will affect your future incarnations. You go with a healthy body, you come back with a healthy body. You cannot take anything physical with you. Whatever things are physical belong to earth, and then we take nothing with us. But what we can take with us when we pass is our kindness, our loving heart, our peace, our courage, our calmness, our passion, all things non-physical we can take with us to the non-physical world. So leave the physical things to the physical world and take you the treasure, the non-physical treasure, with you into the non-physical world. And I wish you have a good day, and God bless.